Welcome to Awards Roundtable Season 3, Episode 2. We are starting to become more weekly on this show for you guys because starting now with the heat of the Oscar season coming, we will be really discussing all the big Oscar movies this year. And this time, the biggest one that's come out is Killers of the Flower Moon by the great Martin Scorsese. And so what better way to celebrate than to have a fantastic panel on. First, bringing on my co-host, as always, Ross Bristro.
Hey,
good to have you, man. You got to see this film, I think, on Saturday as well, and loved it just as much as I did.
Oh, yeah, too. Guys, let me tell you something, though, too. It started at 12:50, the movie did. Not the trailer. The movie started at 12:50. Got out at 4:18.
That's insane. And yeah, I went to the late show, so we got out like really late. And then another person who saw it, and Marty is one of his favorite directors, if not his favorite director of all time, and that is Dan Skip Allen. What is going on, my friend?
Hey, Wolfman, how's it going? Yeah, Marty. Marty is my favorite director of all time. I've watched all of his movies multiple times. I saw Killers of the Flower Moon a week and a half ago. I've been holding on to my for quite a while now, waiting for people to see the movie. So I wouldn't spoil. But my review did come out on Monday. So if you felt like it was spoiler free, so you could read it on Monday. Yeah, I read this book, and I was excited about this movie 2 years ago. A book by David Gran, and I just, when I heard Martin Scorsese was going to make it, I was just like blown through the roof. I was like, I cannot wait. Of course, my favorite actor of all time, Robert De Niro, was going to play Hale. But then they did the swap of Leo playing the police officer. Instead, he decided to play Ernest. But we'll get into all that stuff a little bit later. I don't want to say any of my, I know you have a process of how you're going to do this. So I'm just going to follow in your lead here, Wolfman.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, you were on here for our Oppenheimer and Barbie discussion because I know you were a big fan of Oppenheimer, and now I knew you were a big fan of Killers of the Flower Moon, and I knew Marty was at least one of, if not your favorite director, and Robert De Niro was your favorite actor. I knew that for sure. So I was like, had to get you on for this one. And I am super excited to talk about it. And because you are the guest on here, we will let you go first we'll just go around the room sharing what we overall generally thought of the movie, and then afterwards we'll just break it down into certain categories and just talk in depth if we want, because it is history, like people can look it up, so I feel like spoilers would be allowed here technically.
With the book, it's
also a book too. Yeah, people can pick up the book and read it. So and from what I hear, it's fairly accurate to the story overall. So yeah, it's one of those kind of, and real quick, just before we get into the review, I just need to address this. I live in Lynchburg, Virginia. All this atrocity and everything that happened here literally happened an hour away from where I live in Roanoke, Virginia. In like 1920. I was like talking to my girlfriend after the movie. I was like, I look back at Virginia history, and so much Virginia history is like fucked up if you think about it, because of just how with slavery, and then now with this happening, it's just like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in Virginia history that's just not too great, and this is definitely part of that. So yeah, we'll start with you, Dan. Just give us your overall thoughts and what you thought of the movie.
Yeah, well, I will preface this by saying I did give this movie 4 stars, and I think that the things that are really good about this movie are the production value. God, I think I had the guy's name on the top of my head. The guy that did all the sets and all that kind of stuff, and created these rooms that a lot of the conversations are happening in these houses and all this stuff. This guy, to me, did a phenomenal job. That main street of Fairfax, where the main town is, which is in Pawhuska County.
Jack Fisk. Sorry to interrupt, but Jack Fisk.
Jack Fisk, phenomenal. I mean, he doesn't just pick it like every movie. Every year he's got a new movie out. No, he very delicately picks movies that he wants to be involved in, and he was involved. He picked this movie to be involved in because he knew there was a lot of things that he had to do to make this look authentic to the time of the 1980s. And Osage and the clothes and all that kind of stuff, and the various items that are all around the different rooms and the houses and so forth. So the production design to me is impeccable. This guy, I think, deserves an Oscar nomination. Also, I believe the acting by the main three actors. Look, I have problems with Leonardo DiCaprio, but I still think he gives a great performance. Robert De Niro hasn't been this good in decades. He is so good. And then I've watched 2 movies earlier this summer with Lily Gladstone. I've been telling people, watch out for Lily Gladstone. And the whole thing that we talked about on Gone with the Wind, I'm the co-host of Gone with the Wind with Malcolm and Lewis. Was it the right decision for Lily Gladstone to put herself into the best actress race? I'm here right now. I'm going to say, I don't know how many people are listening to this or how many people are going to watch this. That was the right decision on Lily Gladstone's part. She definitely should be considered for best actress for this. She's probably on the lower tier of my top 5 as of right now. And similar to Judas and the Black Messiah, you don't know what the Academy is going to do with her, but it all stems on what the local geographic guilds are going to do with her. If she starts winning a bunch of supporting actresses, the Academy will take that and will probably put her in best supporting actress. But as of right now, I think she did enough to be one of the top 5 considering for best actress. I think she did so much emoting with her eyes and just like facial features and stuff like that. And she used her she's from Montana, by the way. She's Blackfoot. She is not Osage, but she acclimated to the Osage language. And she really made it like it was like you believed she was Osage Indian, Native American, I should say. And I really thought she did a phenomenal job. Those are the 2 things, the main things that I thought that were good. And because you don't want me to say my negatives right now, right?
No, we'll save that, I guess, for after once we get to the negative section.
And I will say, like I said, I read this book 2 years ago. I was so through the moon anticipating this movie. Not only was it my most anticipated movie this year, but it was my most anticipated movie last year. And then I found out that they were moving it to this year. So it was going to premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. And of course, I was all glued to the Oscar expert and everybody that went and saw the movie. But then I started reading through the lines a little bit. I said, these guys aren't like through the roof of this movie. So I kind of had that in the back of my head when I went and saw this. I wanted to give it my undue attention, and I wanted to make it like I wasn't thinking about anything else while I was watching the movie. I want to be concentrating on this movie, and I did do that for 3.5 hours. So, and like I said, Marty is my number 1 director of all time. Robert De Niro is my number 1 actor of all time. I'm a massive fan of Leo, especially the stuff he's done with Martin Scorsese. And I love Lily Gladstone, but the look and feel of the movie was just cinematography again was another thing that I thought was really good. Like they had like sunset scenes and just scenes off in the distance. It's just like, oh wow, this is beautiful, beautiful country, In the beginning, the guys are jumping up and down, the oil's falling over the guy. So it's kind of funny. But I'm not gonna get into my negatives, so I'm not gonna say anything else.
Awesome. Yeah. I before we get to Ross, I do want to bring up a few points that I find it funny that our friend Jordan Anderson on his channel literally Killers of the Flower Moon was in an anticipated movies tournament that they did twice, and it won both tournaments. I remember it won the 2022 tournament when they were like most anticipated of 2022, and then it won the 2023 tournament when they did their most anticipated 2023. So they were like, it technically won 2 tournaments, and they were hoping that like they were like, it better come out in 2023 or else we're gonna have another tournament. So it was delayed for so long. I think this is the longest gap too for Scorsese is between like films that he's ever done.
Yeah, 3 years has been his average, but what happened was COVID hit this production really bad, and that's what kind of delayed it. And then I was like, "Oh, if we can get into Cannes, well, we'll push it one more year." What the hell? Yeah,
pretty much. So, and that's the only festival it played at. It didn't play at any other festivals, which is interesting. So, Ross, what do you think of this movie overall?
I love this movie, even though I had to get up and go to the bathroom quite a bit because it's so damn long. It was still excellent. And then like even the supporting actors are great. Like there was this old actor in it, like from the 70s, like who I kind of like. His name is Barry Corbin. He's in it.
Yeah.
And then he plays the Undertaker, but everybody was great. Even Frazier liking his small part.
Yeah.
And then this is actually my second favorite DiCaprio and then DiCaprio and De Niro movie together. But as Dan said, everything was great. Like the cinematography was just gorgeous. Even the costume design was amazing. And then Lily Gladstone, if you were to take her out of the movie, some people say the movie strays focus from her. You could not have a movie of her just sitting there sick in bed. You could not have a whole movie on that. But still she was the heart and soul of the movie. Yes, and she's also John Campia's accountant's wife too.
Yeah, that's what I heard, which is interesting. That's fun. So, do you have any more to add to that, or
not right now?
Cool. So, for me, yeah, I agree. Everything that y'all have said on this movie, I agree, and even more. I'm a younging, so this is interesting that because you two have seen other Marty Scorsese movies in a theater. This is my first Martin Scorsese movie I've seen in a theater, so this is kind of a big deal for me. I was super excited, and I actually sat. Usually, if there is a movie this long, I usually am hurting by the end because I have to hold in, going to the restroom and stuff like that. I never once had that feeling because I was so invested from the first frame to the last frame. And I drank 2 large drinks and I didn't feel that at all. I was like, I am totally invested in this world that Martin Scorsese has made. This is his first Western he's ever done. So this is very interesting. He's done almost every genre. He hasn't done animated yet, but he's done pretty much almost every genre now that there is. He's absolutely one of the best. You guys are right about the performances here. Lily Gladstone is the performance of the year right now for me. She is incredible. I have her on the bottom. As far as actually getting in, because the Oscars are going to be her performance was a little bit too subtle. Probably she doesn't have that big Oscar clip. I would say that she might be lower down, but for me personally, right now she's my number one to win because she was so incredible. And it would also be a bad look for them to give the 2 white men Oscar nominations and the Native American not an Oscar nomination. That would be if you think about it, considering the story that this movie is about and everything, it would not be a good look on their part. So that is one thing I just she actually has my favorite scene in the entire movie was when, and it's some of the best acting I've seen in my life, was when it's her and Ernest Burkhart. They are sitting down and she's talking to him and he's like, my soul is clean. I've confessed the truth and all this stuff. And she's says, what was in the medicine and stuff like that? The medicine that you gave me, what was in the vial? And then he's like, it was insulin. And she gives him that look and just walks up. She said everything in that scene. She is just incredible. Leonardo DiCaprio. I also am not really a fan of him as a person, but I think that he's a phenomenal actor and he did an incredible job here. And honestly, Robert De Niro, he is incredible. I don't understand how people are like, oh, he's the best he's been in decades, because he was still great in The Irishman. That's not like he was still really good.
That's what throws me off a little bit, is the CGI early on.
Yeah.
Just kind of messes with your head a little, but he's good in it. You're right. He is.
He is. Yeah. He was still good in that movie, but stick to doing stuff like this, De Niro, not Dirty Grandpa, or you're like, or
War with Grandpa,
or what's that one that came out this year about my father or something like that?
I like that. I actually like that.
Oh, you like that one? Nice.
Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure on my part. That's fine.
Yeah, that's all good. But yeah, like you said, the production design, which by the way, Jack Fisk, and I just wanted to throw this out there because he did not only another Leonardo DiCaprio movie in The Revenant, but he also did a film that I feel this actually shares very similar vibes to, which is There Will Be Blood. This feel, which is, it has that same kind of feeling, and he did the production design for that. So he's an incredible production designer. And also, I really want to shout out the composer, Robbie Robertson. It's really sad he passed away. Rest in peace, man. But like, your score here, like, elevated every scene and just made it was so unique and so different and unlike anything I've heard this year. I was like, I would give it the Oscar myself for the best score right now if I could. It was incredible. I thought just yeah, of course, the editing in this, the way it was done, like the fact I could sit in a 3.5 hour long movie and not get bored and was invested, like it was just all the technical aspects here worked exceptionally well. And I cannot believe that, like, how good this is. To me, this is maybe Martin Scorsese's, like, one of his best movies for me, and honestly is just maybe the best movie I've seen this year. This is that incredible to me. This movie is a 5 out of 5 for me. I adored this movie, and I cannot wait to watch it again. And it is just it's a masterpiece. And I don't use that word lightly, but to me, this one absolutely was. I think it's deserving of that title. So yeah, that's my quick thoughts. We can start kind of going into a little bit, going around the room, and y'all can talk about, like, anything else you might have wanted to shout out in your general thoughts, but also we can go into kind of our spoiler talk section a bit if y'all want. And since it is history and it's based on a book, we can talk about the scenes and stuff like that really impacted us, or really, or certain elements to the film. So we'll again start off going from the bottom of the table to the top of the table. We'll start with you, Dan.
All right. So, look, I said from the beginning, I gave this movie 4 stars. So that means I didn't like it as much as you, Wolfman, and I probably didn't like it as much as you, Ross. So, look, a lot of and I sent you something in the chat, Wolfman, so you can peruse that if you want to.
Okay. The private chat?
Huh?
The private chat or Messenger?
Messenger.
Yeah.
Messenger. Yeah.
That's it.
I feel like, a lot of people have been bringing this up about the 3.5 hour runtime. And I'll be honest with you. I thought the movie was too long. I thought it dragged in the second act. There's times where Lily Gladstone's character is lying in bed, dying, and we keep getting these scenes of Ernest Burkhart giving her the insulin, and we know he's poisoning her. We know it. How many times
are you going to go back to this over and over and over again? We already know it. One or maybe 2 times is fine. You don't need to go to this 5 times or whatever it is. Other times they're showing this shot of the road. I understand Jack Fisk, great production value. How many times are you going to show this shot of the road? People walking down the road, the same street in Pahuska or whatever the town is, whatever. I mean, this movie, maybe I'm being generous. Take a half hour off of this thing, all right? The other thing, why did it take so long to get to the FBI and the police? I mean, this thing dragged on for way too long before they got to the police and the investigation in the trial, in my opinion. I mean, that should have come closer. They already established at the beginning of the movie that people were dying of whatever circumstances. Murder, suicide, blowing up houses, whatever. We've seen this progression through the first half of the movie. Why does it take so long for Molly to go to Washington DC to talk to the president, to get the FBI, Hoover to send his guys down here? Look, I read the book. We've already established I read the book. And the perspective of the book was from the police and the FBI. I know Scorsese flipped it. I know that. Everybody knows it. It's not something that's a hidden secret. But I think they made a mistake on taking too long to get to the police and the FBI investigation of this story. Because that stuff was interesting at the end. The last half hour, 45 minutes, or whatever it took to get to that point. That stuff was really, it really was upbeat. It had a lot of cutting, a lot of editing, like you said. Selma Schoonmaker, I think she's worked with Marty too many years. And unlike you, Wolfman, I saw Raging Bull when I was a 6-year-old in the theater, and it was one of the most traumatic experiences of my entire life. And she won an Academy Award for Raging Bull. I don't think this is her best editing because she's friends with Marty. She's probably not going to say, Marty, we got to cut this second section down. We got to get into the other stuff a little bit quicker. Look, people say, a movie is as long as it needs to be. If it's an hour and a half, it's an hour and a half. It's 3.5, it's 3. No, this movie, I'm being generous here. I'm saying at least cut it a half hour out of this thing. The other thing is, in the book, they explain the oil rights and the seed rights of how the Osage get the rights to the oil, how they get their money and stuff. And in this, they really gloss over that stuff. You see the one guy who's getting drunk all the time, and he's, I want my money, I want my money. And he's drunk, he's going to the bank. And we're like, why is this guy getting crazy? Lily's having to go there to having somebody with her when she goes to get her money. Oh, why do you need to do this? And why do you need the money? But they don't explain the seed rights properly. I think that is something that is glossed over in the script. Eric Roth, I think these are some of the issues that I had with the movie. The script doesn't explain some of the intricacies of the book. The film is too long. It should have been cut down. There's some editing issues. And I just feel like it's the redundant scenes where they just go to Lily Gladstone's character, Molly, dying in her bed over and over again. Like 1 or 2 times is enough for us to understand. She's being poisoned by Ernest in the bed. Showing the street, people walking down the street and horses. And okay, how many times are you going to do that? You know what I mean? The first time in the beginning of the movie is fine. We understand the look of the film. You know what I mean? So I want everybody to, I don't know how many people are watching this or going to watch this. I am a massive Martin Scorsese fan, and I'm a massive Robert De Niro fan. And over the years, I've become a very big Leonardo DiCaprio fan. And I want to see Lily Gladstone in more stuff. I've already seen her in 3 movies this year, and I think she definitely deserves an Academy Award nomination for this. I just think this isn't Martin Scorsese's best film. And as Wolfman knows, I sent him my rankings of Martin Scorsese. You can comment on that after your girlfriend picks up whatever fell on the floor or whatever fell in the kitchen or whatever over there. Yeah, that's kind of some of my problems with the film, and that's why I gave it a 4-star review and not a 5-star review. And it's not my favorite Martin Scorsese film, and it's not my favorite film of 2023.
Yeah, I can understand those flaws I had. Those are all perfectly sound. For me, I guess it's just like I was so invested in the world and just invested in and maybe if I would have read the book before the movie, maybe that would have also had an effect on it. But I didn't. What about you, Ross? Do you have any negatives of the film, or what are sort of?
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit too long, and then the middle act does drag, and then I actually was looking at my phone, because I was the only one in the row to see how long it took for Jesse Plemons to come in. He comes in at the 2 hour and 8 minute mark.
Yeah,
he should have came in about the hour 30, hour and 45 minute mark. Lily Gladstone was great, and then I don't know if you guys felt the same way. Throughout 2/3 of the movie, I was disgusted.
Well,
I had this
it's a disgusting story, Ross.
no. I know it's a good thing. Because it's how the white people are acting all friendly, and then how you could tell these guys have these ulterior motives, and this is disgusting. Yeah, so yeah, and then my favorite scene though, is when she starts to figure out, even before she gets sick, that Ernest is doing something. He's doing something. He's doing something. He's planning something. So yeah, that was my favorite scene. And then the scene that actually reminded me of another Leonardo DiCaprio Robert De Niro movie is when De Niro almost hits him and grabs his face. That reminded me of This Boy's Life. So yeah, but this film though still was excellent. It could have used an editor a little bit, and then I actually thought Leonardo DiCaprio was good, but it was nowhere near his best performance at all.
Yeah, I can understand that. I'm kind of, and this is no shade on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because I did love him in that movie, but I'm kind of I feel like Leonardo DiCaprio now is going down the typecasting of I want to play country boy with a little accent twang kind of thing to him. Literally, his accent sounded like Rick Dalton. I kept thinking of Rick Dalton from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood when I was watching this movie, because it sounded just like him. And so I was like, is he just going to do the whole Rick Dalton thing now? Is that his shtick? But I thought he was still incredible in this. Yeah, I think it was the critic David Elric, who I follow. He said that, this is the best performance of Leonardo DiCaprio's entire career. For me, I think The Wolf of Wall Street still is, personally. But this one is still incredible, and I would not be mad at all if he gets nominated. I think he was still really great in this movie. This is, of course, one of the best performances of Robert De Niro's career. We talked about that. But for me, the reason why, I guess my negatives with the film are I didn't feel the length, because for me, this felt like a 2.5 hour long movie. I thought the pacing was really, really well done, in my opinion. I was really invested. I was really, really into this movie. If anything, I thought the one scene that was kind of strange a bit was, I still enjoyed the scene, but I was I got what they were going with, but it just kind of felt, I guess, out of place in the movie overall. I'm fine with those texts that pop up telling you what happened in a true story. But when they're actually having this show with jazz music and all this stuff and a play almost, and they bring out Martin Scorsese himself, and he's reading off notes on what actually happened to the people and the true story and everything.
Can I tell you that? Can I say something?
Sure.
That is to tell you that this entire story was a play the whole time.
Oh. I did not get that when I first saw it. Okay, wow. So like the entire movie was a play the whole time. Wow.
Yes, and then like too, like, and then like I also felt like there was some commentary about like how now, like even after all that time, the white people still do not learn because you remember they actually had the white people doing the stereotypical Native American sounds too.
Yeah,
They were playing the Native Americans. So
that's a good point. And yeah, what you mentioned about Jesse Plemons' character, he should have probably come in a bit earlier in the movie. But I actually liked the choice they made because I feel like Leonardo DiCaprio fit Ernest really, really well. So I thought like I really appreciate this change that they did there. I think Jesse Plemons looks more like a FBI agent, so that was to me something that really worked well. I mean, I guess the reason why that didn't bother me as bad was because like she's trying all the options she knows of first, and then she goes to DC to get him once she's completely run out of options and ideas and such like that and such. So it's like, I guess that's why I didn't mind it too badly, but I understand where you guys are coming from, and I understand all the other complaints I'll have. I guess the only other complaint isn't for the movie itself, but I will say that this movie will not be for everyone. Like I can't, like usually I'm like, oh yes, the Martin Scorsese movie. I highly recommend this. I do recommend this as a fan of Martin Scorsese, but I will say I don't recommend this if one, you don't like heavy movies because this is super heavy. And then if you're just, and some people are going to be thrown off by the runtime. I think they're just, people are going to be bored. Like literally Ross and I were talking afterwards. We texted each other saying, this is not a Jordan movie. We were like, yeah, no, this is not. He's going to be bored when he watches this. A lot of people are going to be. So it's one of those movies I would not recommend to everyone, but a niche group of people are going to love this. But I do hope it's successful in theaters though, because I feel like Marty needs, after Silence bombed at the box office, after like, The Irishman did better on Netflix than it did in theaters. Like I really, really hope that, so far I heard that this one made 23 million opening weekend, which isn't great considering the budget.
45, but I don't know.
I'll have to look it up overall, but it's just like, it wasn't an overall great number. I remember that, but it's one of those that I really hope gets legs like Oppenheimer did. It has legs and it made a lot of money. So I really hope that it can pull through, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, guys, it's come to that part of the show where
wait though, can I tell you something? I don't know if you guys caught this too.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have finally got the FBI down there too.
What?
Was the minute that a white guy died.
Yeah.
All these Native Americans are dying and they don't really do anything. But the minute that a white guy died, they come down there.
What was his name? Matt Smith or
yeah,
Bill
I
Smith
forget.
or
Yeah,
something?
but I know who.
Bill
Yeah,
Smith
yeah.
or something. The
Yeah,
guy that
with his
married
mom in
the
the
two
house.
different women. He
Yeah.
married the one woman that died, then he marries the other woman, and then they
Yeah.
blow up the house with him and her in it. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so that, yeah, I mean, are we gonna go into our really real gripes though? I mean, we kind of talked about some negatives, but then you kind of circled around negatives. Wolfman, are we gonna really go into some real major gripes that we have?
Do you have any like real major gripes?
Oh yeah, I have some real major gripes. Even though I did give this movie 4 stars, I did like this movie quite a bit. But I feel like, and you guys could tell me if I'm off base. I was in a room full of press, okay, probably 20 press, and their girlfriends or husbands or wives or whoever was in there with them, right?
Yeah.
And there are scenes that a lot of it is to do with Leonardo DiCaprio's character. Now, for lack of a better word, I'm just going to use Leonardo DiCaprio described in the book, and for better or worse, in the movie, he's a dunce. He's an idiot, all right? And he is being manipulated by
De Niro's character from the very beginning of the movie. He gets him to come back from World War One. He starts, hey, how's it going? What do you got going on? There's these Indian women. What do you think about? And then he gets her to get into his car, and there's this like underlying thing of humor in this movie. And I just couldn't put my finger on why people are laughing at this movie. What is so funny about the killing of a race of people for their oil rights? And I just, for weeks since I saw this, days, it's been a week and a half since I saw this movie. I couldn't put my finger on it. And I finally put my finger on it. This guy is a dunce. He's an idiot. And he's playing him like an idiot. And people are laughing at what an idiot Ernest Burkhart is and how stupid he is and how we know Molly Burkhart basically has figured him out. And you mentioned it already, Wolfman. That scene at the end where she's like, what were you putting in my shot? He says, nothing but insulin. And that look and that her walking away and the whole 9 years, that said a mile. But I want to know, did you guys laugh at this movie? Were you guys like finding this movie funny? Because people in my screening were laughing. There was things about this movie that were funny to these people. And to me, when I read this book, I said to myself, there's nothing funny about this book. And there's nothing funny that this book should have been made into a movie that made me or anybody else laugh. And to me, that's a major flaw of this movie that I just cannot get my head wrapped around. And I'm glad you guys had me on here so I could discuss this with people because I can't figure it out. I just can't figure it out. And I think I figured out the fact that Leono's such a dunce of a character. He made people laugh. That's all I could figure out.
I laughed. Sorry. I laughed twice. Okay. Now, like during the part when he has him sign that like Robert De Niro basically like threatened his family, and then like Leo goes like, "What do you mean? What could happen to me and my family? What is something gonna happen?" And then the part like after they kill the guy, and they're arguing, and then like he says, "I told you do it from the back." Not the front, like, and he goes like this. Those are the only two parts that I really laughed at how stupid he was. And then like this is slightly off track. I literally like saw this meme that said, "I put the smarter Ernest on the poster," and then it's actually like Ernest P. Worrell's face. They said he's the smarter Ernest.
Okay, see what I mean?
Yeah, there's
do memes.
There's only two parts that I laughed at, but I feel like the humor was technically intentional in these scenes because I feel like a lot of the humor that you're talking about wasn't necessarily intentional, but it's just the execution of it came across as maybe funny to some people because he was such a dutz, But the only intentional parts I laughed at was one scene that was improvised when she says a Native American term, and he's like, "Well, I don't know what you said, but I'm sure it was, Indian for handsome devil," stuff like that. And she laughs about it. And, I got like a little chuckle out of that. But then also just because it was just so random, I like kind of laughed about it when he's talking to that one like reporter, or I forget who it was, but he's like saying like, "I just don't like your face. I just don't like you," and all that stuff. And he's like telling the guy that. To me, it's just like, I guess the way that scene was. And then whenever he's, and there was one more scene I chuckled at. Whenever he was like drunk and he's like trying to whack the flies out of his face and stuff like that, because the flies are in his face and everything. And he's like trying to do that. And he's like hitting himself across the head and stuff. I chuckled a couple times at that, but to me overall, like, yeah, this isn't really a movie that you should laugh at. It's not like, something like a good example I want to bring up is something like Jojo Rabbit, where that film, it starts off one way. It has a tonal shift where there's a tone that you laugh at and you think, okay, this is funny. This is a satirical comedy, but then it knows when to be serious and it switches its tone up. And it's like, okay, now we're going to be a serious movie about the Holocaust and about, stuff like that. So I thought it was a very, like, that did a good job at addressing the two different tones. I can understand where you're coming from because he was, like I said, he was playing that kind of Rick Dalton kind of character in a Western about like about human oppression and murder and stuff like that. And I can understand how that may not fit for a lot of people just because it was different. But I also felt like if you're laughing at him, I feel in a way because he's such a, and some people said his character, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Like, if y'all think he's a complicated character or not, because I know a lot of people said Ernest Burkhart is a very complicated character because he did care for his family. You saw when his child died, he fully was breaking down in tears, crying at the fact his child died, and that's what brought him to the point of actually going on trial and confessing everything. But it's also at the same time, some people have just said, no, he's just a vile character because he killed her sister and he killed, he's responsible for these murders. And so, and he's an accomplice in these murders. And so it'll be an interesting take for you guys, but I feel like some of the reasons why some people might have been laughing at that is because they're like making fun of that character in a way, because it's being like, this character is stupid for doing this type of stuff in the first place, or something like that. I could see that kind of route. But what do y'all think of his character? Did y'all think that he was complicated in a way or complex, or did y'all think more of like, no, he's just a vile person because of...
Ross, you go first.
Okay. Yes, I think it was actually complicated because, like if he was like just a dunce, it would be funnier. But if you really pay attention, he does love his wife, and then he did love his family. But now, it was almost like the cliche of the angel and the devil, on his shoulder, which Robert De Niro is the devil, telling him, So yeah, I think he is complicated, but still, he still is a vile piece of shit. But
yeah, because for me, I'm like, if his uncle never was in his life, I don't think he would have done this type of stuff. That's just to me personally. What do you think, Dan?
But I believe the word you guys are looking for is conflicted. He's conflicted,
yeah.
Where he's trying to do what he thinks is best for his uncle, who basically he works for, and then he does love his wife, but it boils down to he's poisoning his own wife. So how much does he really love his own wife that he quote unquote loves, and he loves his kids? He's poisoning her so he can get the rights to her oil. So does he really love his wife? Who's his real love of his life? Robert De Niro's character, Bill Hale. I feel like he's not that conflicted, even though the film tries to make him out as conflicted because of what his arc, the arc of his character. Yeah. I just think dunce is the proper word to use because this guy is stupid. He's really stupid.
Yeah.
And I think he's portrayed as stupid and he comes across as stupid and it makes people laugh at him. And I don't think this story is something you should be laughing at. I hate this. I'll be honest with you. I've been thinking about it. And I think maybe Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't the right guy to play this character. I would have liked to have seen actually Jesse Plemons play the character and have Leo play the FBI agent, Tom White instead. And I like Jesse Plemons. I actually like Jesse Plemons as Tom White. As I'm thinking about this, as we've been having this discussion, guys, in the process of having this discussion, I kind of would have liked to rather see Jesse Plemons play the dunce character and have Leo play the FBI agent. And would they have had the FBI agent come into the movie 2 hours into the movie? I guarantee they wouldn't have. They would have done it differently. Yeah. And I think that's the fatal flaw of this movie. And as a Scorsese fan, and as a De Niro fan, and as a DiCaprio fan, I just think it's a fatal flaw. And as time goes by, we all talk about, Forrest Gump is losing its luster over the years. People like Shawshank or they like Pulp Fiction more. But we forget, at that time Forrest Gump came out, it was a zeitgeist of the whole country. Everybody was in love with Forrest Gump. Everybody just was on board with Forrest Gump. The same thing goes for Dances with Wolves or whatever.
I think as the years go on and the weeks and months, I think even in this award season, mark it down, the luster of this film is gonna wear off. And I think the more films to start coming out, people are going to say these films are better, and these films are better, and this one's better, and little by little by little. Remember, we got 10 nominees, so there's still a very legitimate shot that Killers gets a lot of nominations and probably gets in the Best Picture. But I'm telling you right now, guys, as the weeks and months go by, I think the luster is going to wear off of this film, and I think people are going to start seeing, like, when the think pieces start coming out about this, people are going to read them and they're going to start to rethink their thought process on Killers of the Flower Moon. And I hate to say that because this is my most anticipated movie of the year, and I think my anticipation probably got the better of me. And when I finally saw it, it didn't live up to that anticipation. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of my 2 cents on it.
I understand that, and I'm worried about Past Lives because of what you just said about, you know, a film that could lose its luster, but in that case, just because it came out like in June or something, like it came out super early in the year, and that's one of those situations where I'm worried like people will start forgetting about it. And you know, that's why I have right now Poor Things out as a front runner, because that film is releasing in December. So that's like the film everyone's going to like really remember and think about when the time comes, because that still will be in the talks and all that stuff whenever it is released. But for me, it would have definitely been, and I feel like if he would have played the FBI agent, you could have him be the joke cracking kind of more person if you wanted him to be to play the FBI agent that way. But I thought it was interesting though to have the different kinds of perspectives, because you know there's De Niro's character who's very serious, very stern, very selfish in a way, very just his own, you know, all he cares about is money. All he cares about is what he wants. He would even throw his nephew under the bus if it came to that. Probably that's all he cares about is himself. And then you have Ernest, who, yeah, he cares about his kids. But again, it's like, does he really love his wife because of what he did? But also, it's just like, I thought it was interesting to see. Just, I feel like he's maybe what this film is trying to address is he could have like a special needs disability or something like that, because the way that he kept on holding his face in the movie, he like kept on frowning and doing stuff, and like he kept on having a certain look to him, and like the way he'd act to him, that maybe he's autistic in the film, maybe it was like trying to address something. I don't know. Maybe it was one of those kind of things, but it's I can see how you had a problem with that. My theater that I was in, they didn't really laugh that much. It was like maybe a couple times here and there, but they didn't really laugh that much at the movie. I think it was like only sly remarks from certain characters that were like meant to be jokes or something like that here and there. But other than that, they never laughed. So I guess that never really affected me as much, because I didn't really have a theater that was like laughing at the buffoonery of, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio. But personally, yeah, I think this film will definitely fall into the same category as like The Irishman did, where The Irishman, I love The Irishman. So this is no shade to The Irishman. But when it came time for voting at the Oscars, that film was like the most nominated film that year, but won nothing. And the reason why it won nothing, yeah, it had 10 nominees, won nothing. And the reason why it won nothing was because I feel like the steam dropped for that movie. People were like, you know, this is a 3.5 hour long movie. People were starting to feel the length on it. They were like, this is, you know, there were those kind of complaints coming out about it and such. So I feel like that is one reason why The Irishman wasn't as successful when it came to wins. But this one I think is still going to have a better leeway because of things that have been in the conversation. Like Lily Gladstone has been in the conversation since Cannes, and she's still in the conversation now. So I think like stuff like that and other things will really help the film and benefit it. But we shall see, which is a good segue.
Oh, wait, though. I actually had something I wanted to ask you guys, because one thing I wasn't clear about. Okay, you know the scene where like Robert De Niro like goes up to her when she's dying, you know, when he goes up into her room, right?
Yeah.
Was she imagining that? Was that like a fever dream? Or was he really up there? Because I didn't get that.
Yeah, he was up there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand how he thought that though, because it like cuts to another scene. She's laying on a bed completely empty. So like the way it's edited, it's like he's up there, he's talking to her, and then it cuts and you see the bed completely empty as she's laying there. So and she even asks him like, "Are you real?" and all that stuff. And there's a lot of great, I just want to throw this out there before we get into our Oscar predictions here. There's a lot of great physical acting in this. Like from Lily, like the way she was acting drugged and the way she was acting when she was like that was very, very convincing. And the way Leonardo DiCaprio played being drunk, like he played that pretty well, like and such. And you know, there's a lot of good like physical acting in this film. And again, it's one of those films that I love, but that's why I love getting you on here, Dan, and loved having you on here because, you know, while Ross and I loved it a lot, I probably loved it the most out of all of us here. It's like interesting to have those kind of different opinions and have those people that like, yeah, you know, because there will be people like that who are like, I liked it, but I didn't love it. You know, I've already heard reviews like that. There's been many reviews like that that have come out saying that. So, so it's very, very, very fun when we can have a conversation like this about,
and then that mirror scene was incredible.
Oh yeah, the mirror scene, and I do want to throw up before we get to our Oscar predictions real quick. I do want to throw that like I wanted to bring up a point Dan brought up earlier that I am glad Lily campaigned for a lead in this film because the film is actually about her. Like it is full on about her. It's her story. So like Ernest has the most screen time, but the story is about her. So that's why I thought it was.
Oh yeah, too. And people, if you want to see Frasier in the movie, he don't go to see it for Brendan Fraser.
Oh yeah, Brendan Fraser is in it for a very short time. John Lithgow is in it for even shorter because John Lithgow, I forgot he was even cast in this movie. And I was sitting there waiting. I was like, wait, did they cut Brendan Fraser out of this movie? And then like once he pops up, I was like, oh no, he's just there at the very end, just a very short role.
Yeah, too. Like, and then the guy from Daredevil also, you know, like it was distracting seeing him when like he had no lines.
Yeah,
Eldon Henson. Yeah.
I remember him. Like, yeah, he was in there for a very short time. So it's kind of some very quick, like almost cameo appearances, if you will, from like these kind of bigger actors that we're fans of. But with that being so no, Brendan Fraser, he just won the Oscar, but he won't get a supporting actor nomination for this.
No,
it's way too short screen time in this. But with that said, we'll go around the room, all giving our Oscar predictions on what we think on the ones that we think will and it should be nominated for, and then we'll tally up just how many nominations between each of us that we think the film will get. Do you want to start this time, Dan, or again, or
That's fine.
All right. Yeah.
That's fine. Look, it all depends on what happens with the SAG strike if this thing continues. Especially regarding some of the Warner Brothers contenders and some of these, because if Warner Brothers decides to move their stuff because of the SAG strike, because they can't campaign, there's going to be some open spots, and I think it's safe to say that Best Picture and probably Best Director are safe for Marty and Killers of the Flower Moon. I would say right now Robert De Niro deserves a Best Supporting Actor. As of right now, all depends on what the guilds do, the regional guilds. If they start putting her into supporting, I would keep her in the conversation for Best Actress. But if you start seeing
the Gotham Awards and the New York critics and the LA critics and this critics group start putting her best supporting actress, you'll start seeing the Oscars do the same thing, what they did with Lakeith Stanfield for Judas and the Black Messiah, where they just put him into supporting, even though he was campaigning for lead. And that's going to that'll open up a spot for a Sandra Hüller or somebody else, which deserves a shot at Best Actress. It might have been much more deserving of one of those spots.
I can't wait to see that performance.
She's incredible. She's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. An Anatomy of a Fall.
It's awesome.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. I myself wouldn't put it in screenplay. Maybe other people would put it in adapted screenplay. But see, adapted screenplay is the weaker of the two categories. I think original screenplays the tougher of the two categories right now. So you might see it slip into adapted, because I think adapted is a weaker category. Because don't listen to anybody that says Barbie is adapted. It's not. It's original. Barbie is an original story. It's like a Marvel movie. Okay, so it's an Iron Man movie, but it's an original movie based on Iron Man. It's an original movie based on Barbie. There's no Barbie story, comic book, play, nothing that had this story about Barbie in it. This is an original story. Barbie's going to go into original. Greta Gerwig and what's his face are going to get into original. They are going to make that decision, and that's going to be the decision. So that's going to be out of adapted. So there's room. Past Lives is original. So that's out of the way for Killers. So I think adapted's got room for Killers to get in there. So I'd say adapted screenplay, director, picture, supporting actor, best actress / best supporting actress, production design, probably score. So I would say safely right now, I'm kind of starting to sour on Leo as we've been having this conversation. So I'm going to say safely 7 nominations: production, score, adapted screenplay, director, best picture, best supporting actor, best actress / best supporting actor. Because I don't know, it's either one or the other for Lily Gladstone.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts on that.
Awesome.
Maybe costumes, maybe 8.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that category also. And after Ross goes, I'll bring up my thing about the strike. I think there's something about the strike that'll help this film. The strike is definitely going to affect it, but there is a certain thing that once it's my turn, I'll get to it. But I think there's certain thing that will help it, and I'll get to that. But Ross, what are your kind of Oscar predictions that you have for this?
I think if the Academy really likes it, it'll have 9. But if it doesn't, it'll have 7. Because I think if it were I think I'll give it picture, director, actress, supporting actor, screenplay, production design, cinematography. And then if they really love it, they'll give it editing and then actor.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that editing. Editing an actor if they really, really like it.
Yes.
Especially because editing, when it comes to the editing category, you always have to, just to be safe this early on in the season, you have to pretty much pick 5 Best Picture nominees, because usually if you're in editing, you're a Best Picture nominee. That's what typically it goes on. And so I feel like, there's a lot of those cuts in this movie where they're having that conversation, then it just cuts to the Native American being poisoned and he's taking on the ground. So there's those edited cuts like that in here that I feel like they love those. The Academy loves that kind of editing, if you know what I mean. So but they also don't love they would love those kind of parts, but they wouldn't love the slower parts, because the Academy does not love slow editing. That's another thing I've noticed too. So it's one of the.
So, probably not editing because it's so long, right?
Probably, but did the Irishman get nominated for editing, or?
It got 10. I don't know what the 10 categories are. Maybe somebody should look that up.
I'm looking up right now.
Yeah, look that up and let me know, because if The Irishman got in for editing, then I think you could make an argument that Killers of the Flower Moon could be safe, because I mean, they're both 3.5 hours long. People look at The Irishman, they're like, yeah, that's I mean, I think that The Irishman, technically, if you look at the actual technical runtime, this is 3 hours and 27 minutes. I think The Irishman is like 3 hours and 30 minutes. So I think technically The Irishman falls just a little hair longer than Killers of the Flower Moon does. But my big thing I wanted to talk about that I think the strike will actually benefit this movie is Martin Scorsese, because none of the actors can campaign right now. Martin Scorsese has been carrying this movie on his back. He's just shown up on the Jimmy Kimmel Live show. He's been showing up on all these interviews.
Yes, it did get best. Sorry to interrupt, but
yeah.
it did get a best editing nomination. The Irishman did.
Okay, so there you go. That could be. I think that could be potential then for Killers of the Flower Moon. But the reason why I think that will help it is because Martin Scorsese, it'll drastically help his chances in director. Like, he could possibly, like, it'll be big for him in director too, because of how he's campaigning. But while he's campaigning, he's talking about Robbie Robertson. He's talking about Lily Gladstone. He's talking about all these other people. And so he's like trying to get all those names to be, he's mentioning all those names. He's mentioning all those people. So then that way they can get nominated. And he's trying to get this movie as nominated as possible by showing up everywhere. Like, I got to give this man props. He's like 80 years old and he is carrying the weight of this movie on his back right now. It's just incredible. Good on you, Marty. And so I think that is definitely going to benefit it. When it comes to my personal picks for what I think it will get nominated in, I think its best chances, like we've mentioned, best picture. I have that like number 3, number 4, because it's like between, I don't know if like the holdovers is like number 3 or if this is number 3, but I have it kind of like somewhere slid in there. And then I've got Martin Scorsese in there for director. I think that's pretty safe. I think Lily Gladstone, she's just been in the talk since Cannes. I think she's in the 5 for actress. If she doesn't get in for supporting, because like you said, the Keith Stanfield situation could happen and she gets in, or it could be something where it's like, you know, everyone thought Michelle Williams was a supporting performance in The Fabelmans. Yet,
yeah, she took it away for Daniel Deadweiler for Till, which was atrocious.
Which is complete crap, because Michelle Williams was not as good as Daniel Deadweiler, and I honestly think that like it was just a completely missed opportunity, and I think it would have been better to throw her in supporting, but that's just because she was a supporting performance, unlike Lily Gladstone, I feel like, and that's why. But I could see them going either way with Lily Gladstone, but for now, until more like guilds start coming out and more stuff start coming out, I have her in lead actress for right now in my 5 until I hear more about it. And then of course I do have Leonardo DiCaprio in. So like, real quick, I just want to briefly talk about this. I know we're talking about Killers of the Flower Moon, but like, literally, I've followed the Oscar Expert. I follow all the other Oscar outlets. Every person has the exact same top 5 getting in for Best Actor. And that makes me kind of worried that one of the people are going to get snubbed. Yeah. Literally, everyone has Cillian Murphy, Leonardo DiCaprio, Paul Giamatti, Coleman Domingo, and Bradley Cooper. Literally, that's like every person has those 5. And it makes me kind of worried that one of them is going to get snubbed because of that, like this, because of the fact that everyone has them in their 5, and it's one of those things that's like, oh, you're calling it too early kind of situation. I don't know.
Keep an eye out for Timothy Chalamet, my boys. If he kills it as Wonka, I know it's on the left field, out on left field. Like keep
That's definitely a Globes thing. I can see that, but
Yeah, because like even the Oscar drunk actually pointed out. He says everybody has the same top 5.
yeah. And for me, I feel if anyone is gonna be snubbed, I actually feel it's gonna be Coleman Domingo because everyone's been saying he's amazing in Sing Sing. Like that's all the talk. People are like, Sing Sing. Oh, he's so great in Sing Sing. Sing Sing. Oh, Sing Sing. And all these people love that movie. But with American Fiction now winning the People's Choice at TIFF, I could see
Coleman getting in twice, boys.
twice. You think Sing Sing and Rustin?
Best supporting actor, best actor.
Well, that's if Sing Sing is released this year. I don't know if it'll be.
He's supporting in The Color Purple.
Oh, yeah. See, The Color Purple is one of those.
Sing, they're going to push that to next year. It's Rustin, The Color Purple. If the SAG things, like if they find a way to get that resolved, Color Purple is staying on Christmas, and it is coming out this year, and you can guarantee potential of 5 acting nominations for The Color Purple. 5, boys and girls. Boys.
See, supporting actor for me is just it's so crowded already. I think that Coleman Domingo has a better shot in lead because he's just, if you look at my 5 for supporting actor, I have Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo, Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, Ryan Gosling for Barbie, and Willem Dafoe for Poor Things. So
that's a good 5. But I'm just saying, if you don't do 2 for the same movie, keep an eye out for him getting 2 for 2 different movies, best supporting and best actor.
Yeah,
those occasions where he gets in for both.
He could replace Willem Dafoe. I just know that usually in a supporting category, there's usually 2 from the same movie, at least in one of the supporting.
They've been doing that a lot lately. They have been doing that a lot lately. So I'm not arguing with you. You could be right on the mark here. I do not have an issue with what you're doing. I don't have. There's something about Coleman Domingo this year. I just have a sneaking suspicion this is going to be his year, and I just feel like I have something in my gut tells me 2 nominations, but I could be completely wrong.
I mean, hey, he's having one heck of a year. I'll say that's for sure.
Yeah, so like, you know who else I heard though? Watch out for could get a nomination too, though.
Who
is Jeremy Allen White this year too?
People forget. Guess what? Christmas Day, The Iron Claw comes out.
Yeah,
and they are staying pat on Christmas Day. That's once again A24. I mean, look at their lineup this year. Jesus,
it's so good. But the one I also feel could sneak into Best Actor just because American Fiction looks like it might be a Best Picture player is Jeffrey Wright. I think, like just because of it's Best Picture kind of thing, Coleman could possibly miss an actor and have Wright replace him just because of the Best Picture kind of.
I think it's the exact opposite. I think as the weeks and months go by, I think your boy Leo is Wright is in.
Yeah,
maybe Timothy Chalamet is in. I think Leo's going to get. I think as the weeks and months go by, Leo's out. I'll be honest with you. I just feel it in my bones. A week and a half out of seeing Killers, but seeing the reviews and having this conversation with you guys, I just have a sneaking suspicion as the weeks and months go by, Leo is going to lose more and more luster, and I think he's going to be out. I think the 2 people that really stand out above him is De Niro and Lily Gladstone. As the weeks and months go by, I think that's what's going to happen. I think you're right.
They're for sure.
I think Jeffrey Wright's a very good. Yes, I'm seeing it early. I think I'm seeing it on the 2nd of November.
It looks great. It looks great.
Yeah, I'm seeing that on the 2nd of November. I'm seeing The Holdovers next Sunday, and I'm seeing Saltburn on the 3rd of November. So I'll let you know if those boys in Saltburn have a shot at it.
Yeah, man, you're so lucky you see all those things early. I'll be seeing some films early at the Virginia Film Festival. And American Fiction will be playing there, but it's sold out, unfortunately. But
I figured you would be at Middleburg right now. What the hell? Why aren't you at Middleburg?
Middleburg Film Festival is happening
Right now, as we speak.
Oh wow!
How are you not there?
Yeah.
Why are you talking to us? Why are you not at Middleburg right now?
I
Pack
don't
up
know.
your bags and get over there. See some movies.
I should see what movies are playing there.
Oh,
right
do you
now.
know what's playing there? The three big ones already played. Which ones they were?
What?
American Fiction, Saltburn, and The Holdovers.
Oh man!
You have Anatomy of a Fall, Zone of Interest. Still.
Zone of. Okay, if Zone of Interest hasn't played yet, I will order a ticket just to see that alone.
I don't know what the schedule is because I'm not. I have a buddy that's there, right? He's in my guild. He's in Middleburg right now, seeing all these movies.
Oh.
So I'm thinking to myself, why is he not at Middleburg? You're what, 3 hours away? Did you say?
Yeah, something like I'm like 3 hours away from it. And if I knew it was happening this soon, I would have gotten tickets for that and the Virginia Film Festival, because the Virginia Film Festival is like in Charlottesville, and that's like at the end of the month. So I still probably would have been able to make it to both. So because I got press for Virginia Film Festival, and I probably could have gotten press for Middleburg if I would have like talked to them about it earlier and all that stuff. But hey, I will check it right after this, and I'll see if I can make it to any screenings before they go away completely. But yeah, my next category, I do have it in Best Adapted Screenplay, Killers of the Flower Moon. I just think, like you said, that category is a lot weaker this year than Best Original Screenplay, and I did really like the screenplay a lot for the film, but I have it in there, and I have it in Best Supporting Actor for, like I said, for Robert De Niro, because like you mentioned, Leo could be out because right now all the talk, and I feel it's still going to stay this way, all the talk right now is Lily Gladstone and Robert De Niro. Like, people are saying this best performance of Robert De Niro's, like one of the best performances of, not best performance of his career, but people are saying best in decades, like he said, is what I meant to say. Yeah, like his best performance in decades. That's what a lot of people are saying about him. A lot of people are saying, Lily Gladstone, like, this is gonna like boost her career majorly. This is like a big thing for her. So Leonardo DiCaprio isn't really that much in the conversation, like as much as those two. So I could see something like that happening, but I think Robert De Niro is safe. I heard one Oscar person call it the RRRs, because Ryan Gosling, Robert De Niro, and Robert Downey Jr. So he said RRR because it's like you get the 3 R's in there. But and then best cinematography. It's a beautiful looking movie. Like, it would be bad if it didn't get in for that, because it's incredible. Best costume design, I have it in there for that. They have the Indian costumes, or Native American costumes, I should say. And then they've got like that one costume that like Lily Gladstone wears when she's getting married. That was very interesting.
Yeah, De Niro's white suit he wore throughout the whole movie. Yeah,
so there's all sorts of really great, like, kind of different variety of costumes. Unlike The Irishman, where it's like The Irishman got a costume design nomination, and it's just men in suits. It's like the entire movie essentially was The Irishman of just men in suits, and I was like, okay, that's fine, that's whatever. But like, Killers of the Flower Moon has more variety, I feel, when it comes to their costumes here. So I still have it in, and I do have Wonka in for costume design, by the way. That I do think could slide in. I have that, and I have it for production design as well. So I could see it kind of sneaking into those two categories. And then I do have it for best film editing for the reasons I said. I mean, my 5 for best film editing are all the top 5, I feel, for the Oscars, which is Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon, The Holdovers, and Barbie. Like, those are, to me, like, when it comes to a lineup of 5 for editing, you usually have to go with what are the 5 frontrunners for best picture. And that's kind of how I feel with, like, in a year of 5, which ones would get in. And that's how I feel with best film editing, that's kind of how I have it lined up. I have Killers of the Flower Moon though, like third in that categories. But still, it was very well edited in my opinion. And then production design, yeah, I mentioned that. Have it in there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. I have it in 10 categories. So I have it in 10. Ross has it in like 9 if the Academy really likes it, but 7 if they are weaker on it.
Yeah.
And then you have it in 7, Dan, and I could see it going either way, honestly. But I just feel like the Academy lately, whether a movie is like good or like not that great, they will like say, "Oh, it's just from this director," or "Oh, it's from this and that." So we'll just give it a slew of nominations, even if a film is like, like I'm trying to remember, but didn't Mank get a lot of nominations, if I remember correctly? And that was a film that like a lot of people told you were like it got 3, or how were you?
It won 0.
Yeah, it won 0, but it
Yeah.
like but
And-
I remember yeah, it got 10 nominations, but 0 wins. I feel like the Academy does that where it's like they're like, "Oh, that's a David Fincher movie, so we have to give love to it and all this stuff." And
That was
a
a
bunch of
COVID
stuff
year.
like that.
That was
Even though a lot of people I talked to, I liked Mank. I thought it was good, but a lot of people I talked to were like bored by that movie or not really into it and all that kind of stuff. So I feel the same could be said with Coders.
And I remember that Mike, though, I think it was the same year as Mank, maybe a year after. Mike's favorite nomination of that Academy Awards was Trial of Chicago 7 for Best Cinematography.
That was so dumb. I remember, because I was like a courtroom drama, Best Cinematography.
No, it's how they use the cameras. So cinematography can be determined as multiple different things. If you remember how they had the cameras where they cut to the judge, they cut to these guys over here, they cut to these guys over here, they cut to the crowd, and they kept cutting back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's some fucking amazing cinematography.
But is that cinematography or is that editing?
Editing could be editing, could be a mix of both. But there was great cinematography because there was a lot of the crowd sequences and some of that stuff, like the rioting and some of that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm not going to argue about it. I mean, it's so
Yeah.
No, and I would say that sequence was really, really well edited, and I feel like that's probably the reason why it got its editing nomination was for that riot sequence. But just like I feel, there's a lot of great camera work and cuts throughout this movie of like, we talked about some of the cuts that happened in the final act of the film, the final third of this movie, that I think that's the reason why I think it'll get into editing. And then I think that like with the cinematography of where it's like follows house to house and that whole fire scene where it's like following them as they're walking out the door and just the way it's like
good tracking scenes,
the camera,
tracking
stuff like that. So pretty well done. So I think that'll about do it for this video tonight, guys. So
Ross, you got nothing for Ross? No more for Ross? Ross got nothing?
I just thought though that the actor Scott Shepherd was really good in a small part. He played Leonardo DiCaprio's brother.
Oh yeah. He
was in, right?
Which I totally.
Mike, you know what else he was in though?
Yeah, as I was like watching it, I was like, I've seen his face. Where have I seen his face? And he was in The Last of Us this year as David. I was like, I knew he was in The Last of Us as soon as it kept on, just as the movie kept on going, because I was like, I recognize that actor. And so yeah, he was really good scumbag in this movie. Which, before we head out, I guess I do want to talk about this because I haven't seen May December yet. I'm seeing it this coming weekend. I'm really excited about it. But I heard some people say Julianne Moore would deserve a nomination for the movie, but her character is apparently so despicable that they might be like, we can't give it to you just because your character sucks. Like, Do y'all think the Academy does that kind of stuff? And would they do that with like Robert De Niro? Would they be like, your
No.
character's too despicable, we can't
No.
really
I'll
know.
give you a 3-year span. Okay, I'll give you a 3-year span, boys. Anton Chigurh, the Joker, Hans Landa, bang, 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 back to back to back in the 2000s. They do not shy away from giving Academy Awards to villains.
Yeah.
That was 3 years back to back to back that they gave those 3 out.
Yep.
I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is a nasty character in Oppenheimer. Robert De Niro is a nasty character in Killers of the Flower Moon. So I think them two are the two front runners as of right now, unless they think Coleman Domingo as the nasty husband in The Color Purple. He plays the Danny Glover role. He plays the Danny Glover role, I believe. Don't quote me, but
Yes, he does. He
Yeah.
does. He does.
He does.
And if you all remember the Danny Glover, he's a nasty guy.
Yeah.
The battle of who's the nastiest, who's the meanest, who's the most despicable. Forget about Ryan Gosling.
Well,
He's a saint. He's a saint compared to those guys.
which I was gonna say, like they'll probably all like cancel each other out, and it'll go to Ryan because of that. It's like, oh, despicable person, despicable person, despicable person. It's like, oh, Ryan plays
despicable persons. Wins
happen.
it, or they give it to the boyfriend in May December instead.
Yeah.
His name.
Charles,
I
who
think
I hear is incredible. I can't wait to
I
see
think he's
it.
too young. I think he's too new of an actor. He's not going to win. He might get the nomination, but he ain't going to win. It's going to go to one of the big. I'm telling you, think about this. You know, I meant to talk about this earlier before we go off the air. Think about the heavyweights who've been acting for like 20-something years that haven't really broken through when it comes to the Oscars. Wolfman, Cillian Murphy, Paul Giamatti, Jeffrey Wright, right? Bradley Cooper, not as long, but still a good 10, 12 year, 10, maybe 15 year. I guess you can go 15 for him. Coleman Domingo has been around a while. But who's the other? Leo, I think, and I know this sounds weird, but I think that the fact that like Jeffrey Wright, Paul Giamatti, Cillian Murphy, these guys haven't broken through, and this is really kind of a big year for these guys. Why put Leo even in there? You know what I mean? Is that an argument?
Absolutely.
Is this a legitimate argument? Why even include Leo in the conversation when you got them guys who really haven't had that chance to break through on that level? And you can you imagine a 5 of Cillian Murphy, Paul Giamatti, Coleman Domingo, Bradley Cooper. Who's the 5th one that I'm thinking of? I know I'm missing somebody. I know I'm missing somebody.
Yeah, let me see if I can go to my.
Who am I missing right now off the top of my head?
But like not this year though. Like, do you know what I surprised Mike when I told him, Mike goes, "What? Do which 2 actors have never had Oscar nominations?"
Well,
if you take
which ones?
John Goodman,
yeah,
and then Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, those 2 have never gotten nominated for an Oscar.
Never Oscar nominated at all.
Never Oscar nominated at all. And they are some of the best actors out there.
I got to go back to 1996 because that's got to be a travesty. If Steve Buscemi didn't get nominated for Fargo, that's ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
no, he didn't.
He didn't. But it's.
Who am I missing? I know I'm missing somebody that's been around for 20 or so years who hasn't really been getting.
Yeah, let me look at the list because I know that
maybe it's those 3: Jeffrey Wright, Cillian Murphy, and Paul Giamatti.
Because if you take out Leonardo DiCaprio, you have like Cillian Murphy, Bradley Cooper, Coleman Domingo, Paul Giamatti, and Jeffrey Wright. So
yeah, that's 5.
Yeah, and they'd all be like
guys have been doing this for a while and haven't won. Some of them haven't even been nominated before, right? Cillian Murphy hasn't been nominated before.
No.
Has Jeffrey Wright been nominated?
Nope.
No. I don't think. And I forget, was Bradley Cooper nominated for actor or director when Star Is Born came out?
Actor.
He was
Oh,
nominated.
and despite Paul Giamatti being incredible in Sideways and American Splendor, I don't think he's been nominated.
He's been nominated once
Oh, yeah,
Wow.
okay.
for
Was it for American
Cinderella
Splendor?
Man.
Yeah, Cinderella Man was supporting. I think.
Supporting actor.
Yeah.
So look at that group of guys, and I know. Look, we're fucking October. We got months to go. But think about. I think these are conversations and things that people are going to be thinking about when it comes to like whose turn. Did Leo have his turn? Yes, he did have his turn. Like last year, everybody's Lady Gaga. You know what? She won already. Now they're talking about the song from Barbie as a like for what's her face?
Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish. But she's won already. Why? Okay, I don't want to get off and go talk about song, but why not give somebody who hasn't been nominated for Best Actor or hasn't even won an Oscar a chance, like a Cillian Murphy, a Bradley Cooper, a Paul Giamatti, Coleman Domingo, or a Jeffrey Wright a chance? I'd love to see those 5 names instead of Leonardo DiCaprio. And it's not because I didn't like Leo. I thought he did a good job. I just think he didn't do a great job instead of Leo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think those are conversations that people are going to be having. And as the trends go by with the guilds, you'll start seeing some of that stuff. Are these trends moving in this direction or are they moving in that direction? You know what I mean?
Which is why I actually have in the number 1 spot to win. It was back and forth between Cillian and Paul Giamatti, but I have Paul Giamatti in the number 1 spot to actually win right now because of the fact that he is he's been in the business for even longer than Cillian has, and he's been that household name of that actor everyone loves so much. I think that like they do that a lot. They give their overdue Oscars. Just last year, Brendan Fraser, never won an Oscar. They finally gave Brendan Fraser, his due, and they gave him an Oscar there and stuff like that. Same with Ke Kwan last year, stuff like that. Like they do that a lot to where they will give an actor. Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is another example. Like they'll give an actor just like because they're like, this actor hasn't won before, they're overdue. It's been a long time. It's been like they've been in the business for a while. So
there's trends. What you're getting at is we know there's trends. And I've said it all along. I've been saying it for years. Anybody that's listened to me on any kind of podcast talking about the awards season, I've said it for years. It's a popularity contest. It's whose turn is it now? And it's all depending of, and I think if the holdovers transcends and it no pun intended, holds up to the scrutiny of what this, which is a marathon and not a sprint, it could be his year. But I think right now you've got to stick, because of, first of all, it's a transformative performance for Cillian Murphy. If you look at his face and makeup and the way they filmed him in that, it's kind of a transformative performance. Right now, I still have Cillian Murphy as number 1. Until I see holdovers and until I see Maestro, I have to, and I'm seeing Rustin this week, so I'll let you guys know down the road. But I feel like you've got to stick with Cillian Murphy because he's the established thing that we all know of, and he's given this performance. We don't know what Coleman, what Jeffrey, what Paul, what Bradley, or any of these guys until we watch the movies. You know what I mean? And I know it's a prognostication game with Bull Derby. We all want to be a prognosticator. You know what I mean? But I feel like you got to kind of stick with Cillian Murphy at this point because we know what we got with him. And we have all seen Leo. Does Leo even compare to Cillian?
Honestly, after you said that, I think now the 2 front runners now after you say that is Cillian and Bradley Cooper because they do love the like transformative, like the stuff like Gary Oldman in Darkest Hour or stuff like that where like
Charlize Theron in Monster.
Yeah, they love that kind of stuff, and knowing that Bradley Cooper has a lot of makeup on for
he's got a new nose.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think with that, I think that Bradley Cooper has a really good shot, and that's another reason why right now I have Robert Downey Jr. out front to win in supporting because of the other chance of the fact of the other idea that he's overdue. He's like not really had a shot. He's been in the business for a while. Everyone's thinking of him as Iron Man, but he wants to prove himself more. And it's just like it would be it's that sort of hero story, you know, like this man went beyond the Iron Man stuff and he's shown himself as a real actor. And it's like, yeah. So
yeah, because like if you read some of his
Yeah.
drug stuff, did you hear what he told the judge?
what?
He says being a drug addict is not like sticking a gun in your mouth and pulling the trigger because you like the taste of the metal.
Yeah. And so
Man, it's transformative. We forget. Look at the wig. You know
Yeah,
how many people I talked to that saw Oppenheimer and didn't even know that was Robert Downey Jr.? Multiple people told me they saw that movie and didn't realize that was Robert Downey Jr. To me, that's transformative. That's the definition of transformative, right, boys?
Yeah, it is when you can't recognize them and knowing that like he was getting just as much praise as Killian was, it was just like I could definitely see him taking it because of that narrative, and there's always a narrative behind each of the wins, like what you were saying. So I definitely think it'll affect. I even think that's why if she isn't going to be in supporting, if Lily Gladstone isn't going to be in supporting, I think Emily Blunt now. To me, I have Emily Blunt as a frontrunner just because of that same overdue kind of narrative and the fact that like she's been in the business a while. She wears makeup at some points of the film, and it's like, you know, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I could see something like that surprising even in supporting actress, but
I'll tell you right now. I've seen her in Pain Hustlers. Nobody's getting nothing for Pain Hustlers. If she's got a shot this year, it is for Oppenheimer. But I feel, and you can tell me this or not. Well, I just feel her, and I know Judi Dench won for 8 minutes of screen time, so we know that. I just don't feel her role is big enough, and I know she's got that Oscar moment. We look at. I think the underdog story. You always want to look at supporting actor and supporting actor as the underdog type. You obviously can't look at that as with supporting actor with De Niro, Gosling, possibly Coleman Domingo, more than likely Robert De Niro, the kid from May December, the kid from Holdovers. So it's not looking like the best supporting actor or best actor are going to have the underdog story. But you do have a potential of an underdog story with Lily Gladstone in Best Actress, and you got multiple underdog stories in Best Supporting Actress with Fantasia Barrino, Brooks, and Color Purple. So I think there's potential for either one of those two characters to where the underdog person gets in. And I don't see Emily Blunt as the underdog. And I feel if she's going to get a nomination, she will get it. And she's like fifth on the list, like skating on in or out for Oppenheimer. But you got to look for Danielle Brooks and you got to look for Fantasia Barrino and you probably Taraji P. Henson.
yeah.
Quote me. I don't know anything. I haven't seen the Color Purple, so I don't know. I just seen the trailer. And if Warner Brothers doesn't move it, which I don't think they will, but it's got like we talked about before.
They've already lost Dune. They can't lose two.
Huh? Well, it's the strike. It's the strike. If the strike, because I think these people have got to get out in front of these movies and promote these movies. And if you can't promote these movies, Wolfman, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. You know what I mean? But I'm sorry to drag this thing on.
No, it's fine.
No, it's good. This is an Oscar show. We can talk
Especially
about
too, like, no offense though, but I know one thing though that the color purple though is the worst at this year though. It's got the worst poster of the year.
Yeah, the posters haven't been great for the color
I
purple.
haven't seen it. I have to look at the poster.
And my thing
Look,
is,
man, that's it.
yeah,
Oh, wow. Get it. They'll get another poster. They'll have it.
Yeah.
I will say the the Killer of the Flower Moon posters are amazing. I want one. If anybody gets a free Killers of the Flower Moon poster from somewhere, please, I'll buy it from you.
I was hoping they would hand out posters with movie tickets or something because I really want one.
Yeah,
But
go ahead.
yeah, it's absolutely great. But yeah, you are right about the underdog kind of thing. I could totally see that happening with many of the categories this year. So, but yeah, guys, I think that'll about do it for, unless y'all have anything else y'all want to add. I think.
Oh yeah, too. I forgot to point out this. Did you guys notice the lighting? If you watch it again, watch the lighting.
The lighting in Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh
wow!
Because like you remember the scene where like Leona like walks in the room and then like Brendan Fraser's there and like all the old white guys are in there.
Yeah.
How dark it's lit. You know how sinister it is and how evil it is.
Oh yeah.
Cinematography. That's cinematography.
Good point. Yeah, that's cinematography. It's really, really well done.
Are we doing plugs? Do we do plugs here?
Oh yeah, we'll do plugs. I'll go around the room and do some plugs here. I mean, well, Ross's plugs are this channel. He's host of this channel, so he doesn't really have very many plugs. But for you, Dan, what do you have for any plugs coming up?
Yeah, well, you can find me at my name, Dan Skip Allen, on either Facebook, Instagram. I'm on X, but I'm on Threads now. Also, Letterboxd. Any variation of Dan Skip Allen or DP Skip Allen or From the Fourth Row, you'll find me more than likely. That right there is one of the two websites that I write for, FromTheFourthRow.com. You can find my Killers of the Flower Moon review on DisappointmentMedia.com. Kind of my feelings of the movie, a little bit disappointed. But that's the other site I write for. I'm going to be doing a lot of coverage of a couple different film festivals here in the next months. I'm going to be doing all the heavy hitters over the next few weeks, so keep an eye out for my reviews. Also, I have a special series that I've been doing called My Life, My Love, 50 Years in Film, where I celebrate my existence by picking my favorite movies from each year. Some years I pick two, some years I pick one, and I have an article going 10 years at a time, each of the decades that I've been alive on my website, FromTheFourthRow.com. And then I also have a companion video where sometimes I pick a friend or two and they pick their favorite movies from those 10 years and we compare them with mine. And it's fun. It'd be boring if I were just picking my favorite movies from each year and talking about it. It's better when I get somebody I can banter back and forth with when they have their picks and maybe they don't like my picks or whatever, vice versa. So I've got 4 episodes of that out now. The latest episode just came out on Friday with Dylan Randazzo and Chad Webb, who are on the Dill Pickle Network. And I've been on their channel 4 times with a show called Best Picture, Picture This, where I've done all 4 of the years where they have a revision of the Academy Awards, and I've done all the Godfather years, 72, 74, and 90, also 1980. Hopefully I'll be back on with them again soon because I really like that show. And if you haven't checked out the Dill Pickle Network, I recommend. Also, I'm periodically I'm on Rankum with Malcolm. He's actually recording right now. We speak. Rob Schneider. Oh God, don't get me started on that. You can do it. But I also am a co-host with him every Monday on Gone with the Wind, which is our awards show podcast. And Wolfman has been on there. And so if you really want more in-depth conversation about the awards and all the awards, Emmys, Golden Globes, SAGs, all of them.
Oh yeah.
Tune in at the Take 3 Productions channel every Monday at 7:00. We'll be doing it. We're doing it every week, but we're going to have multiple episodes some weeks because of whatever transpires in the world of movies. So if you really want a more in-depth conversation about movies and award shows, Gone with the Wind is that channel. Also, I am a frequent collaborator with our friends over the Hero Network. What's it called? The
Movie
something-
Hero Network.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm on a lot of different things with those guys. So that's my friend Austin and Jordan's channel. Those guys are real good guys. So go over there if you are watching this and you want some really good content, brackets and tournaments and all kinds of different types of things that they do over there. So yeah, I'm all over the place. You could find me.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, definitely check out all of what Dan has coming up and much more. And we'll definitely have him on this show as well more often just to talk Oscars because I know he loves the Academy Awards like we do. And with this show now, this is, we did our Oppenheimer episode as our first season. Then I took a little bit of a hiatus. And now we're kicking off things with Killers of the Flower Moon. This show will be coming back weekly now. So you guys every weekend or maybe every Sunday, every Monday, somewhere around there, usually is whenever you will see a new episode of Awards Roundtable. So that'll be exciting. And I will do an episode this Monday talking about all the films I watched at the Virginia Film Festival and talking about, like what I think have the best Oscar chances and such like that. And so it'll be very interesting there. And unfortunately, I literally just looked it up. Today was the last day of Middlesbrough Festival. So unfortunately, I'll have to catch it next year. If I knew earlier, I would have gotten a pass or something for this weekend because I wasn't really working or I could have asked off on Friday. I could have made it this weekend, but I didn't. I really want to see the Zone of Interest so bad. So I'm hoping I can see that whenever it comes out. But yeah, guys, and a lot of other films playing there. But you guys can find us here on this YouTube channel, talking things, Oscars, and also another plug coming up is in just literally like maybe a little over an hour from now at 9:00, I will be hopping on to Jordan's channel, the Movie Hero Network, to do a Seen and Heard trivia match, but a horror edition since we are in the spooky season and everything. I'm a big horror guy, so it should be interesting to see how I fare against the 5 other competitors. So that'll be something to look out for at 9:00 tonight. And that'll do it for now, guys. We will see you all in the next stream. Until next time, stay classy, my friends, and keep on watching those movies.